Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our May 11th, 2026 regular meeting agenda. We will call the meeting to order at 4:59 p.m. We'll establish quorum. We have Carlin Fryer, Dallas Pipes, Sarah Falconberry, Dr. Kraft, myself, Christy Schmidt, Courtney Daughter Bruce, Rich Senna, and Garrett Wilson. We will proceed to closed session to discuss A, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, deliberation regarding matters related to employment, appointments, resignations, terminations, retirements, and reassignments. B, pursuant to Texas Code 551.0821, deliberation of personally identifiable information about a public school student. C, pursuant to Texas Code 551.074, consideration of formative evaluation of superintendent in alignment with board operating procedures. And lastly, D, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, discussion of board member roles and responsibilities. So it is 5 p.m. and we will head to closed session. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's a full house. I love it. The time is 6:31 p.m. and we are reconvening from closed session, and we are ready to begin open session. Ms. Yvette?
All right. At this time, please rise for the presentation of colors by the Bernie ISD Junior ROTC Color Guard.
Colors. Hope. Present. Colors.
Please join our students from Viola Wilson Elementary as they lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge.
Post. Order. Colors. Colors time. March.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence and prayer. Thank you, and please be seated.
Hello, students.
Madam President and trustees, our students, they're actually the Wolf Pack from Viola Wilson Elementary, have some great questions for you this evening.
All right, does anybody want to start? You can just tell us your name and then ask us your question.
My name is Sydney Abrahams, and my question is, what decisions do you make for our school district?
Great question. Anybody want to start that one?
Sure. Great question, Sydney. What grade are you in? Fifth grade? All right, awesome. Well, so the school board makes really three primary decisions, or has three roles that we do. So one is we hire and support the superintendent, and so that's, obviously a very important role. We also approve policies. So there are certain policies that the state of Texas says you have to do it this way, and then there's some that they give you some latitude on, and so we work in that area, and then ratify the stuff that the state does as well. And then we also pass the budget, which we're right in the middle of all of our budget workshops from February all the way through June here, where we decide what the budget for next year is going to be like. So those are kind of the three main things that we do, and try not to get into the administration,
I'm going to add to that a little bit. Great description of what our jobs are. And I want to just say that we have the great privilege and honor to come alongside our families and just hear people out and be a part of just the listening, and if there's questions or concerns. And our number one priority is our students. So it's really fun that we get to attend your events. We get to visit your campuses, we get to know your families, and we really get to be a part of this family, which is so, so special. It's been such a great honor, really getting to know our BISD families, even more so being on the board. So we are so proud of our students, and being able to celebrate our students is always a special treat.
Great question. Thank you. We're just having a little light show for the Wolf Pack tonight. Okay, did you have another question?
Okay, I'm going to go. My name is Alyssa Luna, and I am in 4th grade. And my question for you today is, are all the schools allotted the same amount of technology time, or does the school get to decide?
I think that's a great question for our superintendent, Dr. Kraft.
So that's a good example of decisions that principals make and administrators make versus decisions that a board makes. And so when you think about minutes on technology, are you thinking about your camp time or other programs?
Maybe like the FIT intervention time. We're usually spending like 30 minutes, and to add on to that, we'll get like a few hours each day.
And so when you think about camp time, that's computers, art, music, and PE? And then also your instructional technology time?
Yes.
So there are some suggestions that come from teaching and learning, and we work with your principals on that. But then schools also have camp time. So there are some minutes by grade level that lots of people have conversations on. But we also have our Chief of Student Supports, Krista Pomeroy, and one of her big projects for next year is, in working with our committee of parents, is working on the conversation around screen time.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great
Thanks, Alyssa.
question.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Halpern, and I'm in 4th grade. My question for you is, what's the most important thing on the school board?
Well, I think it's having the right people in the right places, because what they were saying is the 3 jobs that we have, what I think is one of the most important jobs is hiring the superintendent. I was not part of the process the last time, but I think we're very blessed and honored to have a really good hire. So whenever you have someone good leading you, it makes everything else a lot easier. So just like y'all are leaders in your school, and I think they put the right people in the right places, and hopefully that makes the entire school better. And I feel that works in every phase of life. If you have the right people in the right seat, everything else kind of works out.
I'll add to that. I think it's important that we keep our students safe, and we keep our students educated, and we just keep our students in a very healthy learning environment where you're not only learning academically, but that you have other things you can get involved with, such as like your student council.
I'm going to add to that as well. One of our core values is every child, every day. Every student, literally looking at all the needs, not just catering to one kind of student, but making sure that we attend to the needs of all of our students. So can y'all guess how many students we have in our whole district?
Over 1,000.
Right. It is a lot of students. What is it, 11,178? Around there. So it's a lot of students. So making sure that we take care of all of our students, I think that's one of the most important things that we do as well. So great question.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Joseph Salas, and I'm in 4th grade, and my question is, what advice could you give me to help increase student involvement at our campus?
Joseph, that's a really good question. And first thing I would say is you definitely have a voice. Students have a voice, and you should always be willing to use that voice. I just ran for re-election to the school board, and I was lucky to have a meeting with about 10 high school seniors that were first-time voters. And I talked for a few minutes, but I really wanted to listen to them. And I learned a lot from hearing their questions and hearing their comments about the experience they just had at high school. So I found that really, really valuable and hopefully helpful to the district. But the other thing is I mentor a student at Faber Elementary, and he was saying, we need more recess. I said, well, It's going to happen next year. That's the first thing. He said, well, that's good. I said, but in the interim, what you could do is ask for an extra, 10 or 15 minutes one day. He goes, well, how would I do that? I said, well, with rights come responsibilities. So maybe if your class has perfect attendance or has really, really good attendance for the week, you can ask Mr. Latiolis if you can get an extra 10 minutes. And he did it. But they achieved their goal. So you should always be willing to ask for progress, but have a reason for it and be able to justify it. So that would be my advice to you.
I'll add on to this a little bit. I think what Rich said was absolutely phenomenal. What I would try to lean on is being likable. People will follow people they like. And one of the best things that was ever told to me was to be likable, you have to like people. So the more people you love and like on and you find relationships with, the more relationships you'll find coming back to you. I think we have a really great example. Courtney over here, she knows and loves a lot of people, and therefore a lot of people know and love her. So I think as far as you being a leader and continuing to be a leader is to go out and do that. Try to build those relationships, because if you go and like people, it's hard not to follow you. So if you want to be a good leader, go do that. Go build some bridges.
Great question. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ellis Belden, and I'm in 5th grade. And my question for you today is, what was your favorite thing about being on school board?
Well, I'll take that. Today, this year was my first year on the school board, and the thing that I've absolutely loved the most is getting to be involved with the students. This year, I got to be a spelling bee judge, and that was one of the coolest things I've ever done. And watching these kids spell words that I had no clue how to spell. Luckily, they gave me the word on a piece of paper so I could check. But just seeing the excitement in each one of those students' faces when they were up there trying, and their willingness, and the staff and their teachers being so proud of them and the way that they invested in them, that to me has been the most amazing part of being on the school board, is growing in my BISD family and getting to know more of the families in our community.
What is your favorite part about being on student council?
One of my favorite parts about being on student council is being able to help a bunch of students around the school.
Very good. What kinds of things do you do at the school?
Some things that we do to help is we raise fundraisers, and it doesn't just help the people out of school, it also helps people outside of school, and we just donate a bunch of stuff to help people in need.
Well, thank you for all you do. You did a great job tonight.
Thank you too.
Let's give them a round of applause. At this time, I'd like to invite Madam President, our trustees, and Dr. Kraft to join me on the floor for our commendations. We're very excited to celebrate our students and staff this evening. We love for all of you to stay till the end so they all feel that Bernie love. Thanks for being here tonight. For our first commendation, we proudly recognize our Bernie High School top 10 students for their exceptional academic achievement, leadership, dedication, and commitment to excellence. We're incredibly proud of you, and here they come. Let's give them a round of applause. Next up, congratulations to the top 10 students at Champion High School for their exceptional academic achievement. We also want to recognize their discipline, integrity, and determination that inspire those around them. Congratulations. Let's give her a round of applause. Next up, we proudly commend Colt McCune from Champion High School for placing third in the Texas State Citizen Bee. Colt competed against top students across the state and won a $1,000 scholarship for his hard work. Congratulations on your outstanding achievement. Next, we're excited to celebrate Brianna Hulse from Voss Middle School for winning the Texas Elks 7th grade Americanism essay contest. She received an all expenses paid trip to the Texas Elks Convention Awards banquet this June, and she will advance to the national level competition. Congratulations to the 5 outstanding students from Kendall, Currington, and Herb Elementary for participating in the Kids Heart Challenge, benefiting the American Heart Association. These students ranked among the top 50 fundraisers in the region. Out of 15,000 participants, your hard work and perseverance celebrates the culture and service across our campuses. Congratulations. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Next up, we're excited to recognize the speech and debate team from Champion High School. Their hard work has positioned them as state and national qualifiers. Through countless hours of preparation and practice, these students have demonstrated exceptional dedication to their craft. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor. Let's give them one more big round of applause. Next up, we'd like to recognize our UIL academic competition state and national qualifiers from Champion High School. These exceptional students have demonstrated outstanding dedication, perseverance, and academic excellence in representing their school at the highest level of competition. Congratulations. Let's give them one more round of applause. Congratulations to the Champion High School golf team on an outstanding season, making it to state, competing at the highest level. And they finished in 11th place at state. Congratulations. Congratulations to the Champion High School tennis team. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. Congratulations to the Bernie High School tennis team on an incredible season. They made it to state. Your hard work, grit, and teamwork carried you to the highest level of competition, and we're proud of you. Congratulations. Let's give him one more round of applause. Next up, congratulations to the champion high school tennis team on a great season and earning their place as a state qualifier. Alexandra Morris represented girls singles at state. Congratulations. Next up, congratulations to our FFA teams. Ag Sales finished 4th in state. Meat Judging placed 25th in state, and Dairy Team advanced to the state competition. We're incredibly proud of all of you for representing your program, your school, with values of leadership and service that define FFA. Congratulations. Let's give them one more big round of applause. Now we are proud to commend the inaugural cohort of the Aspiring Instructional Leadership Academy, who has successfully completed their intensive leadership program. Throughout the academy, these educators engaged in rigorous coursework, collaborative leadership projects, and mentorship opportunities designed to sharpen their instructional oversight and administrative capabilities. Congratulations to all of our educators. Let's give them a big round of applause. Next up, we're proud to recognize our students honored through the Superintendent's Volunteer Service Awards. Through their time, compassion, and commitment to serving others, these students have made a meaningful difference in our community. Awarded gold, silver, and bronze based on their service hours, each recognition reflects a genuine dedication to giving back and leading with heart. We celebrate not just the hours served, but the kindness, character, and impact behind every single one. Congratulations. Let's give them a big round of applause. Now we'd like to extend our deepest gratitude and heartfelt congratulations to our Bernie ISD retirees. Your years of service reflect a legacy of dedication, care, and unwavering commitment to students, families, and colleagues. Through every lesson taught, every challenge met, and every life impacted. Let's give our retirees a big round of applause. At this time, we'd like to recognize our core values in action recipient. We're proud to recognize Bernie ISD lead nurse Elizabeth Kelly for exemplifying our core value of commitment to service. At this time, Chief of Student Support Services, Krista Pomeroy, will share a few words.
All right, Elizabeth is coming up the center aisle. She's All right, Elizabeth Kelly is the embodiment of Bernie ISD's core values in action. Through her unwavering commitment to service and her dedication to ensuring every child is supported every day. While serving as the district lead nurse, she simultaneously provides care and leadership for Bernie ISD campuses, including Bernie Middle School North and the Academy campuses. She manages the tremendous responsibility of overseeing district health practices while continually servicing and personally serving every student, staff, and family with compassion, positivity, and professionalism. What sets Elizabeth apart most is her kindness and her compassion. She is highly driven to connect with parents, solve problems, and advocate for students in ways that make a lasting difference. No matter the challenge, she will stop at nothing to help others and ensure students receive the care and support they need. Her servant leadership and genuine heart for people make her exceptionally deserving of the core values and action recognition. And I'd also like to acknowledge and recognize her family, a commitment to service, because we are on 24/7. And so thank you to Elizabeth's family and to Elizabeth for serving so well.
Now let's give Nurse Kelly a big round of applause. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Kraft to present a special recognition.
Thank you, Ms. Reyna. And I want to thank all of our guests for being here tonight. As you know, May is an important month because we have school board elections, and we have some special events taking place tonight. But I want to give a very special commendation to someone y'all know very well in the front row, and that is your mom, your wife, and she's our board president. So Christy Schmidt, I want to thank you for your year of service as board president. We've covered a lot of ground together, and as a board president, I talk to Christy often, many times during the week. Many times there's numerous phone calls or texts during the day, and just like we're on 24/7, our board members are on 24/7, but the board president is really on 24/7 because I get to make lots of interesting phone calls to our board president. So we want to thank you for your service and all that you do for Bernie ISD.
All right, up next on the agenda, we have to canvass our May 2nd, 2026 general election. At this time, we will canvass the May 2nd, 2026 general election results. The following is from Kendall County Elections Office. Total votes cast, 3,951. Total provisional ballots cast, 1. For School Board Trustee, place 6, Christy Schmidt, incumbent, 3,057. For School Board Trustee, place 7, Rich Senna, incumbent, 2,416. Michael Etheridge, 1,453. So at this time, I move for the BISD Board of Trustees to accept and certify the May 2nd, 2026 School Board Trustee election results as reported by the Kendall County Elections Administrator.
Second.
Okay, motion by Christy Schmidt, second by Courtney Daughter Bruce. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. And at this time, we will administer oath of office to elected board members. So Rich Senna and myself, we can go down for our oath.
Please join me in welcoming Judge Cahoon of the 451st Judicial District Court in Kendall County and the presiding judge for our 6th region. She will administer the oath of office to our newly elected board members, Christy Schmidt and Rich Senna.
Thank you, Judge Cahoon and families, and Garrett, we appreciate your time. Very special. Okay, next on our agenda, we will conduct our annual reorganization of board for purposes of electing president, vice president, and secretary.
Madam President.
Oh, 1 second, I'm sorry. At this time, in accordance with board policy, I will conduct the reorganization of the board. The BISD Board of Trustees will elect officers as follows: board president, vice president, and secretary.
Madam President, I move to nominate the following slate of officers for the positions as noted. Board President, Courtney Darter Bruce, Vice President, Rich Senna, and Secretary, Sarah Falkenberry.
Second.
Motion by Carlin Fryer and second by Garrett Wilson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Courtney and Rich and Sarah.
Madam President.
Work on move.
Welcome to the dark side.
Can y'all see me?
Oh yeah, we got candy on this.
All right. Thank you so much. Yvette, would you like to introduce our next item on the agenda?
I sure would. Tonight's Bernie Education Foundation Wow Moment takes place at Herf Elementary, home of the Hawks. Thanks to a Bernie Education Foundation grant, students are learning about living science and life cycles in the school garden. Let's take a look at the video.
Hi, my name's Alice Pipes. Welcome to Herf Elementary. Today's wow moment is going to be in Mrs. Cunningham's classroom, where students are learning about living science and life cycles in the school garden.
For the past 6 years, we've gotten funds from the Bernie Education Foundation, has helped the garden flourish with plants, mulch, soil, the watering system, and it's just turned this simple space into a vibrant outdoor classroom. Students of all ages learn and grow in the garden, and they observe life cycles, and they also learn about the plant adaptations in the older grades, and they've also got a sense of belonging that supports their social emotional well-being, and the gardens even inspire language arts, giving the students a great backdrop for descriptive writing, poetry, and storytelling. And it's a place where curiosity, creativity, and confidence take root. From our students, teachers, and families, thank you. Your generosity nurtures learning, joy, and resilience. Because of you, our children have a place where their minds and hearts can grow.
Thank you for supporting every student, every teacher, and every school in Bernie ISD.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Reyna, and your team for the great video highlighting Herf Elementary. It's wonderful. So next up on the agenda, we have visitor comments and testimonials, and we do have 2 individuals coming tonight to speak. So I want to go over our policy. The board encourages comments about the district from citizens of the district or from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak either as an individual or as a representative of a group may do so at this time. The board asks that each participant's comments pertain to public education and be no longer than 3 minutes. Remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on our agenda. If an issue mentioned is listed on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion of the issue until the appropriate time during the meeting. The board encourages the public to discuss concerns with an appropriate administrator who has the authority to address the concerns. Concerns should be expressed as soon as possible to allow early resolution at the lowest possible administrative level. Finally, please be aware that rules of decorum will be enforced during the public comment period, and throughout the meeting. Disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Those who choose to engage in disruptive behavior may be asked to leave. Each participant is legally responsible for the content and the consequences of his or her own statements. Copies of our district policies on public participation in meetings can be found on our website. So with that being said, at this time, we would like to invite Miss Catherine Garver to the podium, please.
This year. Thank you very much. Thank you. One of our biggest focuses this year has been outreach. Our goal is pretty simple. We want to make STEM fun, easy, and accessible within the Boerne community. We started by creating and presenting celebration of STEM assemblies for every elementary school in the district. Our student-led team planned the presentations, coordinated communication with the campuses, and visited all 8 elementary schools, reaching over 800 fifth grade students. The response from students, parents, and administrators was overwhelmingly positive, and it was amazing to see younger students become interested in engineering and robotics. But we didn't stop there. We also participated in community events like the Town Market Days at the Boerne Plaza, and continued growing opportunities for women in STEM. My freshman year, I had the opportunity to create and promote the Women in STEM Club at Champion High School. By inviting guest speakers working in STEM fields to speak each month, we've increased our representation on our team of women to 44.4%. To us, this number represents growth, opportunity, and a more welcoming environment for future students interested in robotics. Along with outreach success, we've had an incredible competition season. We've earned awards at every single competition we've attended. In San Antonio, we received the Quality Award for a robot's high level of engineering and design. In Dripping Springs, we earned the Team Spirit Award, recognizing the unity and energy of our team. Most excitingly, for the first time in 4 years, the Boerne ISD robotics team, Rocketeers, qualified for the state championship. At state, we continue to win, receiving the Creativity Award for our innovative robot design using everyday materials and parts. On an individual basis, I was also honored to receive the first Leadership Award at our district competition, which qualified me for state, where I won the Leadership Award yet again. That opportunity allowed me to represent Boerne ISD at the first Robotics World Championship 2 weeks ago, competing against students from over 60 countries and in front of more than 50,000 fans. It was an unforgettable experience and such an honor to represent our Boerne community at a global level. This year has shown us how much robotics has grown within Boerne ISD and throughout our community. What used to be a handful of students building a robot has turned into a united team that is not only thriving on the competition floor, but changing how STEM and robotics is seen at Champion High School, in our district, and in the Boerne community. None of this would have been possible without the continued support of Boerne ISD, our amazing schools, and our wonderful community. We are so thankful for everything you do for our team and excited to continue building STEM opportunities for students across Boerne together. Thank you so much, and go Rocketeers.
Catherine, thank you. We're so proud of you and your team. Sorry, next we would like to invite Mr. Kenneth Miller to the podium.
Good evening to you all. It's a privilege to address such an august body representing such a great school district. I have the greatest admiration for it. My involvement has only been as a tutor, but I'll go back a little ways in years. I was labeled a math nerd when I was young, and I was surprised that my friends didn't all share my affinity for mathematics, but they didn't. However, it was helpful every now and again helping them with their math. probably the best tutoring I did was for a junior, a really pretty junior, when I was a sophomore in high school. She asked for tutoring in geometry, and I hadn't even taken geometry at that time. But of course I volunteered. At that time, they used textbooks. Remember those? I realize how old-fashioned that is. At any rate, I learned geometry with her, and I was able to pick up enough just by reading it to her to refresh my memory as to where it all started. At any rate, she ended up with a B+ in the course, and she asked me to the junior prom as a sophomore. That's the whole point, was that she asked me to the junior prom. No. I've been a tutor from time to time in the Boerne School District, especially at the ASP program at the Methodist Church. And I've been kind of disappointed at the results of math tutoring in particular. As you all know, multiplication is based on addition, and the same as calculus is based on analytic geometry. Everything is based on something that came before. And when there were textbooks, the students had a ready reference to that information of what came before. It seems like they're floundering now. That's the impression I get as a tutor. And I'm not in the classroom, and so it may be quite different in the classroom. So this is only my opinion as a tutor. But it would be helpful if you're not going to go back to textbooks, and I've heard at least 50 reasons why you're not going to. If the students were allowed to organize the handouts and the supplementary information in a binder and organize it such that they have a ready reference to go back to, it would certainly help the tutors. It was so bad this last round of tutoring that at the end of it all, this one kid asked me, why do we even have to learn math? Why is it important? And I had thought I'd gotten that across. Obviously I hadn't. So at any rate, I would really like to see something in the way of a ready reference in mathematics in particular. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. All right, moving on. Next on our agenda is to consider action, if any, regarding items discussed in closed session. We have a request for approval of routine personnel items. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move the Board of Trustees approves the personnel report and the contract recommendation as presented by administration, including the issuing of employment contract to district professional staff above coordinator for the 26-27 school year as discussed in closed session.
I second.
We have a motion by Sarah Falkenberry, a second by Dallas Pipes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is approving our consent agenda, approval of minutes from prior meetings. I'd like a motion to approve.
Madam President, I motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Garrett Wilson and a second by Carlin Fryer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving along. Up next is governance, where our board members will give reports. We'll start down on one end and go to the other, if that's okay.
Sure.
Carlin or Garrett, who's going to win this one? All right, Garrett, you lead us off, bud.
Okay, excellent. So we had a communications committee meeting this month, those are always fun, very informative. We had an update on the NSPRA audit. That was the communications audit that we did, I don't know, was that like a year ago or so? And there's, made a bunch of recommendations, got an update on how all of those are going. By embracing two-way communications or reaching out to stakeholders more intentionally, we've been able to successfully shift expectations on some of those recommendations. We have upcoming efforts including moving club sport communications to Parent Square. So right now, most of the information that comes through is on Parent Square, and we're moving towards getting all the club and sports communications through there as well. And moving our website to be hosted by Smart Sites and creating a hub for staff to nominate one another for living out core values. So that'll be something we can do on the new website, is people can nominate each other for living out core values that work for the district. That'll be really cool. We're also working with Manifest of Design to host a series of meetings that will invite stakeholders and members of the public in to discuss the community's wishes for our district logo and brand. These will be conducted the first week of June, and from these meetings, we'll share out a series of logo options. So that'll be exciting to see where that goes and what it might end up look like. So that's what I had.
Rich, up next.
Yeah. The Board Finance Committee, we met on May 6th. We had quite a few items on the agenda. We had a visit from the Kendall County Appraiser, District Chief Appraiser Nelia McNeil, who reported on the preliminary appraisal values for our district and what kind of appraisal growth there was between new construction and existing properties. We got an update from our CFO, Wes Scott, on the unintended consequences funding. And what this refers to, for those in the audience that don't know, House Bill 2 passed in the 89th legislative session in 2025, which gave an extra $8.5 billion to public ed. But not all districts were treated the same. It's all based on funding formulas. The bill did include a clause that said if there's some unintended consequences and certain districts are penalized financially, there would be the ability by the Texas Education Agency to review and basically give a waiver. And there were 4 districts in the state that applied to, and Bernie ISD was one of them. So we always seem to be near the bottom of the funding formulas in the state. And I want to really acknowledge Mr. Scott's work in all this, because he's the one that really uncovered these glitches in the funding formulas and let the Texas Association of School Business Officials be aware of this. We communicated with our state senator, Donna Campbell, who learned the facts with her staff and wrote a letter to TEA and the lieutenant governor and the governor saying, hey, this needs to be reviewed. And after a number of months, it was reviewed, and it appears that we will receive some extra funding, which won't put us in better shape than other districts, but it'll make up for things that we should have gotten but weren't going to get based on funding formula glitches. So he really did a great job, and TASBO, the Texas Association of Business Officials, or was it Texas School Coalition, asked you to be on a steering committee to come up with ways to kind of address this and fix the policies over the coming session. So it's great that we have a representative at the table. Now, the TEA's recommendation has to be approved by the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the Speaker of the House. So I did speak to Senator Campbell's office today, and Wes and I spoke afterwards, and he's working on providing her the data that she needs. And of course, our local state senator also happens to be the newly appointed chairwoman of the Senate Education Committee. So it's nice having a local person in that position, because it's a very important position as it relates to public ed. So in any event, thank you, Mr. Scott, for your work, and we certainly will be the beneficiaries should the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker approve TEA's recommendations. We might need to remind them that we voted pretty heavily for all of them, so that might sway their view. No, I don't know. I shouldn't have said that, right? Okay. Mr. Scott will go over a minor budget amendment later when he does the financial update. We did review some proposed items for our 26-27 budget, including the teacher retirement system active care rate increases, which again are fairly substantial despite extra state money going into that. So I know that the administration's working on ways we can deal with that as we look to approve a final budget. And The staff also informed us that they are vigorously studying our utility bills for efficiencies, whether it be at an elementary campus or the Aquatic Learning Center, that everything is being done to keep these bills in line so that we can be efficient in our electric bills, our utility bills. So that's kind of an update on the Finance Committee.
And I'll go over to System of Care. This one happened April 2nd. And the System of Care Committee held its final meeting of the school year. This is a committee that includes representatives from parents from each school district or each campus. We have students in this committee. This is one of the funnest committees, I believe. Courtney serves on it with me. And of course, we have great leadership in Christine Pomeroy. So thank you for that. The System of Care Committee held its final meeting of the school year on with a continued focus on bullying prevention and intervention strategies across Bernie ISD. Discussions included district protocols for responding to bullying concerns, addressing online and social media related bullying, and strengthening prevention efforts through student and family education. This year, the committee supported the development of student-centered committees on every campus to strengthen student voice, connection, and belonging. Really, next year, I hope we have more involvement. I love whenever students show up to this, and actually we get to hear a voice from that. So if you have some kids that want to be on a committee and want to be heard and have some action that's felt within the district, I strongly recommend them get involved in this committee next year.
A committee that we added this year is our policy committee. So it's really been great to keep these standing meetings just to review new policy and kind of go over how that's going to affect Bernie ISD. So the policy committee met on May 5th to review policy revisions to FDA and FNAB annotations with the proposed edits to local policies were reviewed and discussed, and policy revisions were taking to us here for this month of May for the first reading. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, June 9th. So for our PTOs, the board was able to host breakfast for them last Friday. I think it was last Friday or Friday before. But it was so nice, and really everyone, I got so much feedback from the PTO presidents. You know, we're on a group thread, and I think it was our largest one since we've started doing this. We had a great video for them, and they were encouraged, and I think that our PTOs are super strong, so I thank all of you out there, principals, for continuing to work with them. And a Teacher Appreciation Week wrapped up last week. They all did always go above and beyond, spoiling their campuses. Each campus did something every single day of Teacher Appreciation Week for each school. So a lot of hard work went into it, and I look forward to, seeing them this summer. I know we like to invite them to convocation later on in the summer, and just continuing to work with them. We greatly appreciate them.
Thank you, Christy. I'll report on the Bond Oversight Committee that met last week on the 7th. We had a number of pretty lengthy agenda. First item we did was Ramiro gave us a update on bond projects, which he's going to report on here in just a little bit. All completed and substantially completed projects are currently in use by students. Second, we talked about the Bernie Middle School South renovation. The renovation is at 100% construction document complete and remains on schedule. That project includes 3 phases covering the band hall and theater acoustics and lighting upgrades, CTE, STEM, and ADA restroom and kitchen replacements. The design reflects extensive campus staff input and supports a future-ready facility for long-term programming needs. Bid selection will come to the board next month, and hopefully construction begins shortly after that. Ramiro reported that the structural engineer for the annual review of the stadium has been initiated and to assess the condition and long-term usability. That had not come in by the time of our meeting, but we suspect that will be in very soon. Looked at updated enrollment projections, indicate steadier growth than anticipated during the planning of Bond 2022. Current data, community feedback, and PTech expansions across the campuses have led to updated facility planning decisions. Next, we talked about facility assessments, the 31 acres that the district acquired, and then CTE. VLK is conducting a district-wide facilities assessment in order to identify district needs. We'll also provide an update on the 31-acre property that the district closed on, which includes available utilities, strong access, and is considered a well-suited site for future development. It's being evaluated at this point in time for a potential middle school. CTE planning by PBK included a comprehensive review spanning Bernie Middle School North, Bernie High School, and Champion High School, including interviews of all the CTE teachers. They did on-site visits and then test fit different scenarios to evaluate program placement options. And then lastly, the couple of additional items, the district is exploring opportunities to open the Aquatics Learning Center for limited athletic rentals. There was a structural issue at Bernie High School involving the brick wall that sits at the front, and that's under review with engineering and architectural input. I think we'll get a little bit of an update at that later on. And then communication planning continues to support transparency around bond progress and future projects. That was the conclusion of that meeting.
All right. Well, thank you, team, for all of your great updates. Just so our audience knows, one of the privileges being on the board is being able to serve in committees, just to jump in feet first and really get to be students of our district and learn how we can make it better. And we appreciate all the leads of our committees, and it is an honor to serve. So thank you all for your updates. And next, we always love to hear from our fearless leader, Dr. Kraft, with district updates. So,
all right, thank you, Madam President, and welcome to the role. Look forward to a great year.
Thank you.
With you.
Looking forward to it.
And as our students know, end of school is next week, May 21st. So there's lots of fun activities, special milestones that happen at the end of the year. Tonight, we are going to bring you two reports. First, a Bond 22 update that Ramiro Guerrero will lead, and then our architect partners at PBK will report on a focus group centered around CTE instructional programming for the future. Just some recent highlights. Summer Galt and her husband and family, we were in Houston together at the HEB Education and Excellence Award night. That was a couple Sundays ago, and there was easily 1,000 people in the room from all across the state. And so it was a great celebration of public education. And Summer, again, was one of the top 5 elementary principals across the state. So we're really excited for Summer and that recognition. And last week we had Future Teacher Signing Day. So we're a business, and so we need to be growing our business, and that means supporting and finding our next batch of teachers. And so we have a very strong education and teaching pathway, and we held a signing day where we had 8 seniors going off to become teachers, and they actually signed a letter of intent and kept on hand with HR. And we encourage them to come back to us and student teach, and then that letter guarantees them a position upon a successful completion of their program. So really excited for our future teacher and all that Ms. Murrah over at Champion High School does to grow the program. Again, we have many end-of-year events, scholarship nights, award nights, promotion ceremonies, whether it's kindergarten, 5th grade, or on up to seniors in high school, field days, service projects, and so much more. Viola Wilson was here tonight giving the pledges, and Lauren was telling me about their 5th grade day of service. And so I believe it's one day next week. Our 5th graders from Viola Wilson are going to be over at Hill Country Daily Bread, living out the core value of commitment to service. So really excited for the traditions that Lauren is putting in place over at Viola Wilson. Graduation is scheduled for May 21st and 22nd. I would like y'all to know that we are monitoring the weather. It's a little too far out to know hour-by-hour forecast, but that is Dr. O'Hare's mission. And we are examining the weather, and we intend to put out messaging this week to our families so they know our decision-making protocol when we evaluate the weather. And Dr. O'Hare will be in close contact with Mr. Wilson and Ms. Benke because graduation is a very important event, and we want to be communicative with our parents and let them know the different steps are taken to evaluate weather situations. And then we sent out a message this afternoon, and Mr. Fryer, you mentioned it in the Bond Oversight Committee. We sent out a message this afternoon about the very historic brick wall at the corner of Esser and Blanco Road. And there's a very special message that Stan recorded today. We put it out to our community and we're seeking their input. But really, we're at a point now where the architects and engineers have said it's time for us to think about what's next. And so we put that message out and we will keep you posted on the feedback that we receive. So we're excited to hear what our community has to share. And those are my updates.
Okay. We surely appreciate your leadership, so thank you for the exciting updates. Very thorough. It's always great to hear from you. Up next, we have Ramiro Guerrero, and he's going to be presenting on the strategic goal for fiscal responsibility with the Bond 2022 update.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Kraft. Thank you for allowing me to be able to bring to you an update on Bond 2022. Now, before we go into our update, we certainly want to see what the purpose is for this, which is to provide an update of the Bond 2022 program, also to highlight how Bond projects support student learning and long-term success. And then we also will highlight project outcomes and financial performances. So with saying that, the Bond 2022 program was a result of a lot of planning. And the planning started in 2019. The district conducted comprehensive assessments to identify the facility needs. We also had a data-driven planning in early 2020. It informed our priorities, and it also helped us to see that the growth and the safety was a priority, and also with the learning environments. In late 2020 through 2021, projects were developed based on the enrollment trends and long-term district goals. We also saw Bond 2022 was built on a clear understanding of these needs. And a list was certainly made up of all of these needs that many of the different focus groups were helping us to understand what we needed. But as anything goes, we had a plan, but we also had to plan on adapting to the changes of the environment and construction. At the onset of Bond 2022, the construction landscape shifted. It was something different, something we hadn't seen before. We saw market conditions shift. We saw that material costs were escalating. We saw how supply chains were disrupted and how we had labor shortages. Increased safety and security requirements helped us to see how important it was for us to address these at our campuses. We also understood the importance of these things. What we did was we installed ballistic resistant glass film and 6-foot non-scalable perimeter fencing at all of our campuses. Now, this requirement helped us to see how important it was, but more than that, it was something that Boerne ISD had already started doing just because of the news that we were receiving at that time. So we understand how flexible we had to be, and that's exactly what we did. We pivoted, started to see the information, different information that was coming because of the changes in the environment. But we also had projects. And these projects, we want to highlight several of these projects because they certainly help us to see. Now, we expanded the classroom capacity with a 19,600 square foot building. We had 10 classrooms. Now, this was supporting the growth of our student population, but not only that, it delivered a high quality and cost efficient building that we were able to use for our P-TECH program. Our Boerne High School courtyard renovations, now this was a project that enhanced all the learning environments and the student gathering spaces all together in one place. The amphitheater and learning environment of this type, we certainly knew that it supported student collaboration and the flexibility of learning opportunities and campus connectivity. This project was on time and under budget, as most of our projects were. Champion High School Edition It expanded classrooms with a capacity to support student growth, 38,042 square feet. It's a two-story building. We had 10 classrooms, 4 computer labs, 4 flexible collaborative learning areas. Now, this provides modern learning. It helps us to see how important it was for Bernie ISD to keep in step with all of these things that we were looking for. Again, we appreciated how the support that we had, and this project actually opened on January of 2025 under budget. Now, our legacy library renovations. Now, these were focused on making sure that we had transformed all of our libraries in our legacy campuses with a modern collaborative learning environment. The features included maker spaces, learning stairs, updated furniture, and collaborative learning areas. Again, this turned out to be a very flexible area in order for us to be able to focus on our students and again, helping them to learn in different experiences. This project was also on time and under budget. Viola Wilson Elementary School. Now, Viola Wilson became the district's 8th elementary campus and was designated to support the continued residential growth in that community. This two-story campus totals of 97,000 square feet. This building was designated with a focus on collaboration, safety, and flexible learning environments. The campus provides capacity relief for the creating of modern education spaces and also the support of student success from day to day. The project reflects the district's long-term commitment for planning ahead and ready for our future as we see it. Our Mitchell Learning Center. The Mitchell Learning Center was a renovation of our old central office. It created updated spaces specifically designed to support specialized student programs. The project included approximately 15,200 square feet of renovated space with 6 classrooms and 2 collaborative spaces. Improvements on focusing the functionality, accessibility, and creating supportive learning environments tailored to diverse student needs. These updates improved what we had before. We started to realize how important it was to see and support the individualized instruction and collaboration. This project again came on time and under budget. Our Aquatics Learning Center. The Aquatics Learning Center expands opportunities for all our students, our athletes, our instructional students, and extracurricular programs, especially when it comes to student water safety education. This facility includes a competitive pool, training spaces, and a spectator accommodations. In addition to this athletic use, the facility supports a broader educational opportunity for student programming. This project provides a long-term resource for both current and future students while supporting the district-wide extracurricular growth. We started to see how our students were thriving as they were using this Aquatics Learning Center. Next, we have our learnings. This is what we learned. With any large program, any large bond, the district gains valuable knowledge. They gain experience and then insight throughout this process. The next few slides help us to see how some of the major industry challenges we saw, we learned, and we were able to adapt. The industry challenges, one of the largest challenges that we faced during the bond program was, again, the unprecedented market escalation. Many projects approved either during 2021 or 2022 were originally estimated with pre-pandemic construction costs. As the industry changed, districts nationwide experienced significant increase in material and labor costs. Bernie ISD was not immune to this. Supply chains were disrupted, along with it created delays for critical building systems, including electrical equipment, HVAC units, and technology infrastructure. Now, depending on the type, many districts experienced a cost increasing from 30 to 35%. Now, despite these industry-wide challenges, the district worked proactively with partners and contractors to manage costs and maintain project progress. Now, we also start to realize how important it was for us to look at these projects. Now, if we look at these 4 projects, Bernie High School was delivered $1.6 million under budget. Champion High School, that addition was delivered $1 million under budget. Viola Wilson, we had a savings of $371,000 under budget. And the Mitchell Learning Center, a savings of $396,000 under budget.
Ramiro, if I could just interject, and maybe you'll get to this, but I think it's fair to point out that the cost of Viola Wilson, if you were to compare it to elementary schools in nearby districts in Austin and San Antonio, we're anywhere, if I'm not mistaken, $5 to $15 million under. I know Comal built an elementary school for $58 million. That's $18 million more than us. Now, they had some land site development issues with utilities that we didn't have because we were closer to utilities. But I think it's worth mentioning that, and the design changes that you and the team put together. Our old models at Fabra, Van Rob, Herf, 4 grades down, 2 grades up, 3 and 3 reduced the footprint of the foundation and the roof. We had 3,000, 4,000 square feet less. That saved money. There were a lot of design changes made to stay within the budget, and I think you and the team did a very good job. And that's a message we should definitely get out to the community, because $5 million more in Northside, $18 million more in Comal, $9 or $10 million in Georgetown, Lake Travis, Dripping Springs. They all spent way more than we did, and Viola Wilson's a beautiful school.
Yes, absolutely. We started to realize how important it was for us to get right out of the gate with Viola Wilson, and we saw the savings just by getting out right after the bond was passed. So we appreciate those words, Mr. Senna. Thank you very much. So to recap, we want to recap this program because it's important for us to recognize both the educational impacts that these projects have and also the district's commitment to financial stewardship. Now, we had a strong stewardship of taxpayer dollars in theory. We saw the strong cost control through competitive bidding and planning, bringing bond oversights, costs internal, and proactively responding to the market challenges and the cost escalation. Consistent cost monitoring throughout all of the phases that we had for all of our projects, strong ties with our partners, our community, our stakeholders, strategic facility planning focus groups. We were listening to them, and we were also being held accountable by our bond oversight committee. Again, we saw the strong stewardship in action. We saw the stewardship is not only about planning, but also about measurable results. And that's exactly what we got with this Bond 2022. As you mentioned, Mr. Senna, Viola Wilson was delivered approximately at $36 million construction. This is, as you said, if we compare this to our surrounding areas, we certainly saved the taxpayers quite a bit of money just by different strategic ways that we built it and the time that we built it. In addition, we want to focus on Bernie High School and Champion High School, how it expanded student seats by 768, supporting our P-TECH programming and our future growth. Now, Bernie High School's additions, they were completed approximately at $10.8 million, as well as Champion High School at $18.2 million. Now, if we compare this to a new high school, New high schools right now are approaching the construction cost of $300 million. The bond program also supported the transportation improvements, including air conditioned for all our route busing buses. So we also bought these buses with 3-point seatbelt points for all our buses. And so we had that forethought. Additionally, every campus received funding for minor construction and beautification projects that directly supported campus-specific needs. We see how Fabra Elementary School, well, they use theirs to paint their campus. And we see how Champion High School used their funds for the main area, the new carpeting in their main office area, as well as rebranding the water tower there that sits in front of Champion High School. Again, bond program management costs were held to under 1%. We start to see how important this is because we want to see how the industry and how the benchmarks to this is so important. We also had
Ramiro,
Go ahead,
we
I'm
could
sorry.
go back to the previous slide. A point I'd like to point out. So when you combine the Bernie and Champion High School expansions, $29 million, but for almost 800 student capacity increase, that's about what we build an elementary school for more than $29 million. We didn't have to add gyms, we didn't have to add libraries, we didn't have to add cafeterias. So this was the most efficient way. And not only did it save taxpayers money, but it resulted in the expansion of academic opportunities for our students, the P-TECH, where within 2 years, 20% of our kids are going to graduate with an associate's degree, saving their families thousands of dollars. So I think this is another message we need to get out. This is fantastic. This is great stuff. We need to get this out in the community because there's always the naysayers that complain. They'd complain if we had 75-degree weather and all the rain we needed, you know. So we have a good. It's a good. I know I'm making a little joke here, but it was an efficient use of the money, and we brought academic options to our kids, and I think it was a win-win for everybody.
Ramiro, one more point there on that last bullet point. Are you going to talk more about that, or I'm going to talk about it if you're not going to get more?
I'm not.
Talk more. Okay. Well, what's the industry standard there? So, you know, bond program management costs were held under 1% of the total bond program. I think we heard at one point that typically school districts will bring that bond management in from external. They'll pay them like 6% of the total bond typically.
Yes, it's 6 to 7%, and if they go outside, it's between 15 to 25% of the total bond.
Okay, see, there you go. So minimum, let's just say it's 6% out of a $165 million bond. That's about $10 million. It's almost exactly $10 million. So you think about what you guys pulled off there is just doing it internally. How many people were working on that at any given time? 3 of you?
So any given time, we were at max 4, and now we're down to 2 people.
I mean, it's incredible. That's $10 million that y'all saved the taxpayers. And I mean, if you think about some of the stuff we've been able to do with that $10 million that we would have never been able to do, you know, and when other districts were, you know, because of the cost run-ups due to COVID, they were having to say, well, we're going to do the Bernie High addition and not the Champion High, or we're going to build the elementary and not do anything at the high schools because they didn't have the money. You guys still came in under budget on a lot of those projects, 31 out of 32 projects. You know, the pool was the only thing that came in over budget. So anyways, just I don't want to slip past that. That's a big number, $10 million just from you guys just doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate that. One of the things if you don't mind, I'd like to take an opportunity that I came from a school district that we were running about 6 to 7% of the total bond. And we were on an island. Here, I'm not on an island. Here, as I hear words echoing, I go down my hallway, and when it comes to needing help, Dr. Dominguez, her words echo in my head. I got you. I go down, Miss Yvette Reyna. She's like, what do you need? Mr. Eddie Ashley, I've got this. Don't worry. Mr. Scott, there's no money. No. No. But I guess my point is this, is that it is a team effort. It is something very unique, and I'm very proud of. I mean, just Mr. Pipes, I mean, just your kind words all the time. I appreciate those. Whenever you look at me and say, "You doing okay?" I'm praying for you. And I appreciate that. You don't know how far that goes. So again, I appreciate that, but again, I wish I could take all the credit, but I can't. This is a great team, and it's myself, it's my assistant, and she always tells me, "We got this," and that's what gets us through. Okay, so technology, this is a huge investment for the district, and so we certainly appreciate how classroom audio-visual refresh products were distributed to Bernie High School and those different schools there. We see how smart boards were purchased for the new additions. And then we also had our student and staff devices for our new elementary school, and then all of our expansions that we were able to get. And then the district-wide network and wireless upgrades, our voice over IP phones and our data center upgrades, these were all handled through Bond 2022. And then looking ahead, what do we have ahead of us? Well, in looking ahead, we know that we want to complete Bond 2022, and one of our last projects is Bernie Middle School South and that renovation. We realize that we want to elevate the lessons learned from Bond 2022, which there were quite a bit of lessons for us to learn, but we're ready. We're ready for the next step. And then to prioritize and address the findings in the facilities assessments that are being conducted right now. We're going to get that information. We're certainly going to plan for the future. And then exploring the Bernie Middle School North options that we have, which you'll hear about in our next presentation. So in closing, Bond 2022 has allowed the district to make some meaningful investments to the facilities, technology, safety, and more importantly, to our student opportunities. So we thank you, the board, certainly the staff, our community members, our project partners, Dr. Kraft, thank you so much. And again, this was a successful bond. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I do have one question, but I want to make a couple comments first. One, I appreciate your comments about that leadership, because I think the leadership staff, even down to principals and teachers, we have a really great culture, and it starts from the top. So I appreciate that type of leadership. I appreciate your leadership and your team as well, because I see their smiling faces, and a lot of times there's not a lot of reason to be smiling that day, maybe, but they're happy to be working for you. They're happy to be working for you, Mr. Kraft. So I appreciate that. And back to Garrett's point, I'm a visual guy. I'm a sales guy, so I want to put it into visual things. Whenever you talk $10 million, like that's a number on a page, but whenever you're talking, it's like, what is $10 million? What does that look like for us? And I got to go back and reference one of the greatest movies of all time, Christmas Vacation. Instead of getting the Jello of the Month Club, we got a pool. So
free, basically.
That's my point. I mean, you got to, whatever you want to break that down, $10 million, how that goes in their district, that's something very impactful, and that impacts student lives. That makes a difference in parents and hundreds of students. That $10 million isn't just a number. That's how many students are going to be impacted by that. And I really hope that we move forward and we tell that story, so the next time we have to ask for something, we can say, this is what, good management and good leadership, this is what the impact that does. Because another district's getting Jello of the Month, we're getting a pool. I appreciate that. My question for you was on the Viola Wilson. Did we have in that $36 million, was there any cost for the land in that? I'm just trying to do math to figure out future.
Construction.
Okay, that was purely construction.
Purely construction.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, the land acquisition was, I believe, roughly $2 million. The developer of Corley Farms said he would sell it to us at cost, and the cost included his purchase price, but then the the road work and the network and the drainage, the detention pond, that was included, which would saved us, a nice chunk of change. So it turned out to be a fair, when you look at the cost per acre, it's, it was pretty good. I would add, Ramiro, that not only did we come in under 31 out of 32 projects, but the impact that has on the operational costs, on the maintenance and operation, because our high schools were basically full before we added the two expansions. And absent adding the P-TECH wings, we would have been looking at a third high school with the costs that you just mentioned. But it's not just the cost of the high school, it's the operational costs. You open up a third high school, you've got librarians, you've got more food service workers, you've got more custodians, you've got sports, all the UIL activities, hundreds of thousands of dollars. The cost, and we're already have roughly, what, Wes, $3,000 less per student when you factor in local, state, and federal money than the average district in Texas. We have to be efficient. That's what the funding formulas give us. We must be efficient. So, so the decision that was made for the 22 bond not only was good from a capital cost point of view, I think it was very good from an operational point of view, while at the same time offering more educational options to our kids. So once again, it was a win-win for everybody. Well done.
Absolutely.
I think it's also important to talk about the time frame in which you completed the projects, more specifically Viola Wilson. So what's the usual time frame to build a school that size, and can you give a comparison of what you built Viola Wilson?
So really the time frame, it wasn't that we built it early or anything to that effect. It was the time that we built it. It was right in the middle of COVID. It was right in the middle of us having to deal with certain things. We were delivered a electrical transformer, but that transformer that we need to power up the entire campus, we were told that they weren't producing them as quick as they could because of the delays. And just in saying that, they told us, we'll deliver it to you, but if a hospital needs it, if something like that, we're going to come and pull it. So those were the strategies that we were having to deal with. Those were the things that we had to understand, and we did, and we certainly were working hard for that. We know that the fire marshal was able to come out at 5 o'clock in the morning. We walked at 5 o'clock in the morning the day of the first day of school. So we have good partners. We have certainly good relationships, strong relationships that we're continuing to build. And we're going to be looking for those partnerships because, again, the unique situation that we find here in Boerne, and not just in Boerne ISD, but in Boerne as a community, we start to see how successful we can be.
Is there any more comments or questions?
Well, among all those obstacles you had to face, we've come away with a building that's won numerous awards, architectural awards. So even though you were having to overcome those, we came out with a wonderful, amazing product.
We did, and we certainly can see the evidence when you walk through the school and you see the kids enjoying all of the different aspects. And believe me, everything that was built had a purpose. And that was one of the things that our partners at Pfluger Architects was able to come out and do, was explain it to our staff. So this is why we built it this way. This is how you use it. And that was such a good thing for us to be able to get from them, simply because they knew why they designed it that way, and they were allowing the staff to understand why they had designed it that way as well. So thank you for that.
Just thank you for being so thoughtful. Even before I was on the Board of Trustees, I served on the Bond 2022 PAC team. And, it was very thoughtful. And I see Ernie Pyle sitting behind you. And I just want to acknowledge how much work that he's put in volunteer-wise in our community to help this pass from the beginning. And I just appreciate just the communication, the updates, all your drives to Boerne over all the weekends, and so you're supported, and we're grateful for you, and we're excited about this. I I love going to these campuses and seeing the kids just thrive in these new spaces, so priceless.
Thank you.
I'll echo what everyone else has said, Ramiro. This was absolutely a rollout. 31 out of 32, the one that wasn't a small amount in comparison. So, but with the savings that were made and all of the other projects, and then the forethought of the committees that were doing this before of, how do we add to our high schools? How do we not increase the operational cost is very significant as we move forward and very shortly. So just kudos to your team. Thanks for all you did there.
Thank you.
And an added benefit is that over 28% of the principal's already been paid off in less than 4 years. Pretty good.
Yes.
It's incredible. Well, thank you so much for your thought out, very thoughtful presentation, all your hard work. Just to quote you, you've managed cost, you've maintained progress, and I know you're very gracious to give a lot of the credit to your team, but we see and recognize all that you've done. So thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have instruction where we will discuss strategic goals, future ready, and possible programming report. I'm going to pass this to you, Dr. Kraft.
All right, thank you, Madam President. At our board workshop last week, we walked you through 3 committees. Y'all can come on up. 3 committees that we've been having over the past 2 years. Those committees led us to explore our land portfolio and really think about future programming. And so tonight we're bringing you a report from our partners at PBK about that 3rd committee that we have been exploring future programming. So programming drives facilities. So Larissa's team had an instrumental role when we think about what are the teaching and learning needs for the future, what do the programs of the future look like, and we called on our partners at PBK to facilitate quite a lengthy process to explore what the future could look like in our CTE programming. And so I'll turn it over to our PBK friends to walk us through the update tonight.
Dr. Kraft, Madam President, and ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for having us. We are PBK Architects. My name is Luis Ahumada. I go by Louie, and I lead our K-12 studio here in San Antonio.
And I'm Melissa Turnbaugh, so I'm fortunate to have worked a lot with CTE, but also serve across the country as our K-12 practice leader.
And we had a lot more than the 5 that you see up here, not only on the design side, but on the Bernie side. But I did want to highlight Larissa, Heather, and Ramiro, because they're in it day to day, and they were with us every step of the way and really had a unique perspective to everything, and it was great having them.
Integral parts of our team. We just heard about the community. We witnessed it in this whole process, and so we couldn't help. We'd be remiss to not have them shown as a part of our team. So our initial charge, and we were so fortunate to have this opportunity, was to really analyze career and technical education and what could become of Middle School North, and how can we take a lot of the principles that we've talked about tonight, looking at the future, looking at stewardship of space, strength, and future planning for careers, and what could we do to potentially reimagine that campus and leverage the strengths of the career and technical education program. So as Dr. Kraft mentioned, we were so fortunate to kick this off almost a year ago in July. And we had the privilege, and we're going to show you kind of what we've done, but to meet so many different people at the district and in your community to really understand and get and do a lot of listening. I think we were able to build a lot of consensus through that process, which is great because it means that everything is in alignment, and a lot of the decisions and the presentation is really a culmination of all of these different voices.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So we started with campus tours about the beginning of the year. Heather and her team really kind of gave us a really in-depth tour. Not only that, the principals were with us, and really got some behind-the-scenes tours. We even got to shave some sheep.
Shaves.
So we did want to talk to everybody in the program, and so we really wanted to get in depth, looking at the overview of their program, their offerings, what kind of certificates did they have, some of their challenges that they had, some of the visions that they were seeing. So really kind of wanted to get a little bit of everything. Some of these teachers really came prepared. I mean, some even brought like plans and notes, and you can see Mr. Vic there. His was a little longer session than some of the others. They had a lot to say, which was great. And so a lot of the stuff that we did here was, some of these very special, unique programs drove a lot of the spatial needs, space needs. And then we had a lot of emphasis on hands-on, career-ready learning. Really the need about specialized industry standard facilities, looking at some of these industry partners and practices and what they're doing. Storage needs was not really a surprise. That's, across the board, everywhere. They always want a lot more storage, workrooms, support spaces. And then some of these campuses, we looked at really had a better use of the spaces and how to, some of the existing spaces, how to use them better. And then site and outdoor space integration along with everything else. And then we also had the community industry stakeholder events where we brought in local partners and really talked about some of the stuff that they're seeing, right? The industries, the trends in their industries and what they're seeing from some of these recent graduates and how can we better help them and what do they want to see from the students. So that was very interesting. And then we also wanted to look at the future students, right? So we looked and we did a survey to the middle schools, very high participation, North, South, and Voss. Very, very high participation, 1,462 students participated. And it was no surprise, a lot of the stuff that they were looking at was some of the programs that were already, doing. And so it was really, really great. What else?
Great. And then, so we took all of that kind of fact finding, a lot of listening to teachers, the industry, and we started to build a program in numbers of what would the future career and technical education look like, and what would be kind of a stewardship and optimization of what would go where if we were designing this. And so we know that the two largest programs are agriculture and health science. And so keeping those at the home high schools made a lot of sense. It would be too cumbersome to, transport students, and they were already thriving. So just enhance those. There were programs, like you heard earlier tonight, engineering, culinary, AACTV, and JROTC, that are thriving programs, but their spaces are somewhat confined in their current environment. And so these are also sometimes more expensive spaces. And so could we have one place that they were housed that everyone could go and share? And so it was kind of the recommendation that maybe those move to Bernie Middle School North. Then there were some smaller programs that, as those programs moved out, could potentially expand within the existing, their existing campuses, both entrepreneurship as well as the future teachers. And then, because this is future focused, the discussion about establishment of new programs. We know that we need to make sure that we're planning for things that are relevant for today, but thinking of the future. And some of those that came up based on also the location of Bernie Middle School North would be EMT and fire science, this kind of first responders, aviation, as well as construction science at Champion, which I think they used to have and now is being used kind of by the engineering group. So we took a comprehensive look at all three campuses to understand and kind of optimize what could go where. And by taking all of this fact finding, we did some visioning. So we have two potential plans and proposals for Bernie Middle School North. Because of the location, it's a wonderful campus to serve the community. And so we definitely heard a lot about that. So the first program has administration to the south, as well as some general areas. One of the things we heard from all of the different programs is having some general space for bringing in industry partners, for doing presentations, for small group. And so having some general areas that everyone can share, we thought was a great kind of stewardship of that space. EMT and fire science, you'll notice kind of on the left. Planning for future programs that we don't even know about for today, we thought was important because we wanted to make sure that this building is agile and adaptable. Culinary arts, having a place in the back that has a place for delivery, but also could take advantage of the beautiful courtyard and potentially serve the community there. Arts and AV technology talked a lot about having a studio that it'd be really nice that they could do podcasts as well as videos and having a green screen room there. So that would be shared. Keeping the existing cafeteria, about the flexibility of programming, not knowing necessarily how scheduling would work out, and so making sure that we would have the opportunity that lunches could still be served. JROTC shared a lot with us about the importance of having both indoor and outdoor practice space. And so what a blessing to have the gymnasium right there as well as the field that now they can take advantage of, as well as future of aviation, that you could have that field used for drone paths as well. So a great utilization of that space. And then engineering, having a dedicated play field for all of their work, as well as some build space. And then keeping the existing auditorium, and started to ideate about how could that be used for community events if this truly is a community space. The little gem in the middle has had a lot of discussion and thought about, could that be an entrepreneurship hub where businesses come in, maybe they even rent the space, and it's a place where they could meet and gather. So it's truly a community space. The next iteration is very similar. The only difference is pushing the general areas to the back and moving culinary arts to the front. There had been a lot of discussion about having a kind of a showcase so that people in the community could come in and have lunch, and so they wouldn't have to go all the way through the campus. And so really everything else is the same, but just some kind of great ideas. And we heard from a lot of the community strengths and opportunities for both. Next is Boerne High School. So again, as some of those programs potentially moved out, what could happen here? So you'll see in purple, those are programs that have moved out potentially in this proposal to Middle School North and could be backfilled. So that's both culinary as well as the AAC TV. We would move business and allow your thriving P-Tech program with health science to grow into that space, which is already there. And then just some reconfiguration of your ag building. There's so many great things happening, but maybe with some optimization of space, they could work even better. And then at Champion, very similar. If JROTC moved out, you now have a larger space that could be used for future teachers, and that kind of growing program that is a little bit scattered around the campus with some storage, as well as have some available space for growth of future programs. There, the ranch, very similarly, lots of wonderful things happening. If we could optimize some of that space, probably even more, some of those programs could grow, as well as adding potentially a paint booth for both an automotive program as well as the welding. And then we had the blessing of talking to 3 different stakeholder groups to listen to them. So we showed a very similar presentation, and we heard from the principals meeting, and they gave us a lot of great feedback about the logistics, which makes sense as a principal. They talked about how would we do it? How would we get back and forth? How could we have potentially some core classes here to make scheduling work better? So they provided great kind of timeline, insight. Then we met with the CEOs. We had here in this very room a CEO roundtable, and we did a lot of listening about the future of industry, ensuring that this plan would be relevant for their future workforce and what they were seeing. And there was obviously a lot of discussion about AI and entrepreneurship and just really having space for communication and collaboration. They shared a lot about the technical skills can be learned, but some of these other things are really needing to be cultivated. And so making sure, like you saw in Middle School North, there are some flexible spaces that aren't necessarily program-centric, but really foster that. And then we heard from the Strategic Facilities Planning Focus Group, and they were really focused on stewardship. Are we prepared for the future? Is the space prepared for the future? Are we being good stewards of that space? And making sure that we're also really serving the community. And this is truly a heart of the community exercise. So we're just honored to have had this opportunity and to meet so many people and bring it forward. And with that, I think, do you have any questions?
And we'll have Larissa come and join us at the microphone also.
I don't know that I have any questions. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I think it's important. You mentioned the words future focused, and that really, I think, is what this is about. Financial stewardship community stewardship. I'll reference specifically the 31 acres that we just purchased. That's, when we bought that property, there's no immediate plans for it, but we think we have an idea of what that might look like in the future. Christie's quote on the purchase of the 31 acres was, we purchased the land for Van Rob in 2004 and didn't open the school there until 2018. So it's about being prepared for what happens in the long run. And from the operational standpoint and primarily construction standpoint, when you look at what the additions of the P-TECH academies at Champion and Bernie High School, the capacity that they added, almost the equivalent of an elementary school for minimal cost, it's the same thing holds true in building a middle school versus building a new high school, a comprehensive high school. So even if Romero can work his magic and it's not $300 million, it's $250 million for a new high school, call it 150 for a middle school at some point in time. So the efficiencies that future forward thinking looks like is huge. So I thank you for the concepts that are delivered and the opportunities that can be expanded. We don't even know what all is going to look like, what classes we may want to be having in 10 to 15 years. So, but thank you for the presentation.
I know, Larissa, you were on a team that went out and looked at other CTE facilities around the area. In looking at these plans, obviously great job on the research. Every group you met with, spot on. I was at several of those meetings, and is that something like what you guys were seeing when you were going out and visiting the sites?
We saw a variety of things to do and things not to do.
Okay.
And really talking to a lot of the stakeholders there at those school districts to learn from them and what they would have done differently. I think that was probably the most insightful information we gained.
I think community buy-in and community sponsorship is key here. And like Carlin said, just to make sure that it's future ready and it's adaptable for what our students need. And, I've heard Dr. Kraft mention that our Hill Country Mile is very strong. And if we could be a part of that and serving, if our families could come in and, buy a bouquet of flowers and have lunch and meet with their colleagues, I think that is a really good opportunity for us.
How many districts did you visit?
I believe there's over 17 schools and buildings that a group of over 20 people visited throughout the state.
So and I know some were Houston, Austin, Dallas.
Dallas-Fort Worth area, Houston, Austin, Katy area, yes, all of those areas.
So you really saw a wide variety, hence what to do, what was right, and what you want to avoid.
And a lot of new builds, a lot of reconstruction, a lot of old historical buildings that were revamped and repurposed. So we did see a variety.
I'll echo what Carlin said. I mean, once again, whenever the day comes for us to make this transition, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, whenever it is, I think it would be fiscally wise, but also the educational benefits to our students is significant. And ultimately, that's the business we're in, is educating kids, meeting them where they're at. One thing I learned from the seniors that I met with, at a meet and greet, what did you like best? And they all talked about the pathways, and they all had different pathways. Some were entrepreneurs, some were in the health sciences. I mean, they were a variety, and they really spoke passionately about their classes. And these were all seniors. They're getting ready to graduate. And maybe they're thinking of what's next. And, they're kind of, they don't want to take any more STAR tests. Well, they don't take STAR tests as a senior anyway, but you know where I'm going. They're ready to move on. But they spoke with passion about a lot of their classes that they really enjoyed taking. So I think we're on the right path here.
I do have a question because, I got Instagram. I watch all these other districts, and we always... we're very quick to say what we're doing right, but I'd love to see what you've seen where they were doing something that had room for improvement. I see that as an opportunity to learn, and I think that I would love to discuss that and figure out what, if you have any, this is some definitely things that we shouldn't do. It might have seemed like a good idea, but once in practice, it didn't work out. Because those missteps are millions of dollars and, in time, and students would feel that effect. So I'm looking forward to hearing what missteps were taken that we can avoid. So thank you for leaning into that.
I think y'all hit the nail on the head. I think when we saw Dr. Kraft move here and jump in as superintendent, what made her so successful right out of the gate was a listen and learn series that she did, visiting all the campuses, meeting with students and meeting with the administrators, just meeting with teachers, just truly like what embodies Bernie. And I see that y'all did that, meeting with CEOs. That's who really knows, the boots on the ground as far as the industries and what's coming up. I love that y'all met with the principals, and I love that you met with community members. And I think y'all are on track to make this a very successful project because you've listened, you've learned from it, and I think that sets us all up for success. And we've certainly seen that with Dr. Kraft and her role with us. And Bernie loves to be heard. Our community members love to be heard. And so I think it already looks like to be like you're off on the right start. So I'm excited to see what's to come.
And to echo off her, you interviewed the children, the middle school kids, that they'll be the ones up and coming. So that was really insightful, and I'm thank you all for doing that. And I'm really excited. I see a dog run on this at the Champion. Is that to expand our agricultural department on animal science? All right. So we're gonna have dogs at Champion, maybe, possibly. I like it.
Any other comments or questions, team? Dr. Kraft?
Well, if nobody else has any other questions, I just want to thank Larissa for her leadership. This has been a multi-year journey, and I see our principals in the audience, and they have been on many of these committees. It has been, again, 3 committees over 2.5 years. And I want to thank our partners at PBK for all of their support and facilitation and expertise that they bring to the table. And you all mentioned it, this is about being future ready. These are long-term ideas, but we have to be taking incremental steps that position the district when the time is right, that we have plans that we've been scoping out already. And again, many people have been asking us, what is the next PTEC going to be? And so Larissa has, some plans in mind, but, it's all about future programming and expanding opportunities. And, that's what we're all about. Our core business is student success. And we just appreciate everybody's thoughtful contributions and coming to the table with great ideas. So thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you. Great presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
All right. We are moving along to actions. Up next, we have business with Mr. Westcott.
You have any jokes for us tonight?
Oh, you've got a new comedian over here. You don't need my jokes anymore.
That's good.
All right. Good evening, everybody. You've received the results of operations for the district through April 30th, 2026. The budgetary comparison schedule, I don't have a lot to say about the comparison schedule itself at this point in time. Those results are within operational and budgeted expectations. Where I really want to focus today is the budget amendment report. We do have an amendment to the general fund that impacts general fund revenues to account for the difference between property values, tax levies, state funding from student actual accounts compared to amounts assumed at adoption. So revenues have been adjusted for those amounts. We have adjustments for compensation and stipends specific to certain positions made during the fiscal year due to market studies and/or changes in responsibilities. We have adjustments for additional positions related to classroom needs. We have adjustments to special education contracted services, substitutes, and transportation payroll to reconcile the budgetary allowance for those areas of need to their current service levels. And we have, and lastly, we have some functional alignments and adjustments to account for certain services utilized by the district that are described as subscription-based information technology agreements, or SPITAs, like we like to call them in the business department. That's a definition from the Governmental Accounting Standards Board that just says that anytime that you go into a multi-year agreement for a subscription-based internet service, you recognize that like you would a lease. So you recognize revenues and the other financing sources and the cost of the asset itself, as it were. That functional alignment and the SPITAs have no impact on fund balance as a whole. Those are budget neutral entries. The overall impact to the budget amendment is a small $150,000 increase to fund balance. And we also have in this report the donations report. We received more than 23,000 in donations for the month of April for a number of organizations, highlighted by the contribution to BHS Culinary by the Purple Heart Project. And we're very thankful for every dollar, hour of service, and or goods donated to the district on behalf of our students. Lastly, in this report, we have the tax collection report through April. This represents almost 97% of the 2025 levy that's been collected to date. And those results, while slightly ahead of last year, are certainly within expectations. And if you have any questions or comments related to these reports, I'll take them at this time.
Go ahead if you want.
I was just going to say, regarding the budget amendment, obviously last week at the Finance Committee meeting, I'll just kind of summarize, we spent a lot of time going through these specific items. Thank you for the great explanations. I know you made a couple of additional adjustments after that meeting.
Yes.
And I think we'll probably see another budget amendment next month as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year. But again, thanks for a lot of that discussion, in-depth discussion, understand where we are and where we're going. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. As I told the Finance Committee, this adjustment would be what we would call our amended budget from a basis standpoint. This is what we will carry forward when we talk about in the budget workshop next month. The base budget that we'll be using to add on to consider compensation and budget initiatives and additional positions. Next month will be the final amended budget, which is to generally one-time cost to ensure that none of our functions are overexpended.
Wes, so by adding a small amount to our fund balance, we're balancing the budget,
Yes.
have a small surplus. Now, I think you shared with us a survey that TASBO did from a couple hundred school districts across the state. If I remember correctly, the majority of them were looking at deficits for this year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and they were expecting, a strong majority were expecting to make cuts for next year.
Yes. Yes. If I remember right, almost half of the districts in the state are expecting a deficit as a result of operations this year.
Okay, and it's good not to be in that company. On the tax collections, May and June usually, even though we've already collected 96.8% of our tax levy for the year, May and June are usually pretty good collection months. When do penalties, how does the whole penalty thing work?
So once you get past January 31st, all 25 levy amounts are considered delinquent, and penalties start to assess at that point in time. One of the reasons that we see collections pick up a little bit in May and especially in June is that the appraisal district is required by law to send out a notice as of May 15th to notify taxpayers that if those amounts aren't paid by July 1st, there's a 15% attorney's fee that gets attached onto that. One thing it's important to remember about whether it's penalties and interest or attorney's fees, that is all outlined in state statute and property tax code. That Bernie ISD, Kendall County Appraisal District do nothing but follow state law as it relates to those amounts.
Okay, so that would suggest that explains why we have pretty good collection in May and June. The other thing I wanted to point out was if you look at the tax collection report, we always have 1.5% to 2% of the current levy that we don't collect in that year. But from the delinquent from last year, we've collected 70% of it within this fiscal year. So that really whittles down arrears quite a bit. So I thought that was an interesting thing, that we really don't have a lot considering the size of our budget, we really don't have a lot of delinquent taxes.
Yes, sir. Agreed.
I was just going to make a comment that you made the point in Finance Committee and just now too, that we're doing our fine tuning on our actual numbers here and then using it as a baseline for the budget for next year. And I think that's so important, and I think it's really made us very successful at budgeting when you're taking a $116 million budget and trying to, you would think that you're kind of just guessing almost, when you're talking about those kinds of numbers and all the moving parts, and especially all the funding from the state that we don't know where if it's going to come in or if it's not. And for us to be as successful as we are, I think it's because you're doing that. Right here at the end of the year, we're taking stock of what actually happened and then using that to go forward. So it gives us a lot of comfort, I would say, or myself, a lot of comfort that we can lean on those numbers, and if we make a decision, it's probably not going to be too far off of what's actually going to happen 12 months from now when we end the fiscal year again. So I really appreciate that. It's really important.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but most of the time, we need to underpromise and overdeliver, and working on that under that principle works out a lot.
Madam President, I move to approve the budget amendments, donation report, and tax collection report as presented.
All right, we have a motion by Carlin Fryer, a second by Rich Senna. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, we are moving to future business items. Just highlighting June 15th, the strategic plan goals report, the budget adoption public hearing, the preliminary STAR results, and EOY progress monitoring report. And backing up to June 1st, we do have a budget workshop at 5 p.m. And so with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we have a first by Christy Schmidt and a second by Rich Senna. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thank you so much. So we will adjourn tonight at, let's see, 8:40 p.m.
Madam President, just one thing before we go. You did a great job leading your first meeting as president.
Well, thank you, Rich. Appreciate it.